Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bell Boxing. Busy show tonight with one of the biggest cards in history taking place on Saturday. Joined by regulars, I'll start with Daz Ashton. Good evening, Daz.
Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Sean. Thanks for joining at this ridiculous hour in Oz.
Yeah, good evening, guys. We won't miss one. This one for the world.
Daz Medcalf. Good evening.
Hi, mate.
And with that fantastic background, good evening.
How are you, pal?
And the only one who's probably, well, Daz Medcalf's qualified to be on the show, but Harrison's more than qualified, having read through some of his other gigs that he's up to, Harrison. I was quite impressed.
Have you been stalking me?
I wouldn't stalking's a strong word, because I'd have to be bothered, Harrison. But, just a bit of your feed came up on Twitter, and I was, well, from your performance on the show, I was quite impressed.
That's very kind of you. Well, I wouldn't miss this for the world, like Sean said earlier. These are the type of cards that it's Christmas Day, isn't it? I just can't wait to get stuck into this.
So, good evening. And with no further ado, I'll hand over to Ander. So, Ander, I'll leave you to start taking it through the main event and the undercard.
Yeah, well, it's been tradition on this show that we start with the undercard and we build up. We're not doing that this week, mate, because this is the most important fight for many, 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 many years. 25 years in the making. Undisputed, first time undisputed 4 belts are on the line against the number 1 and the number 2 heavyweights in the world. This will determine who is the best fighter of his generation. Cruiserweight King against Gypsy King. I think the only place we can start, Carl, is how impressed have you been with the build-up so far?
Well, one thing I wasn't impressed with was John Fury's antics during the grand arrivals. I don't think there's any place for that in boxing, if I'm honest. I'm all for selling the event and giving it a big build-up, but I think he crossed the line, being brutally honest. But Tyson Fury, I know I've been a strong advocate that I think he's going to knock Usyk out round 7. I know we're going to come to predictions. But I'm a little bit concerned how light he is. Because when he's been light in previous fights, he's not performed at his greatest. Now, the camp are coming out and saying he's on the scales, he's not any lighter. I can't believe that, to be brutally honest. And I think it could well play into Usyk's hands if he comes in too light. I'm surprised because John Fury's gone on record in the past as saying when he's lost too much weight under Ben Davison, he was very vocal, saying he was as weak as a kitten and coming out with phrases like that. I still think Fury's going to win. He does look in good fettle, don't he? He looks in good nick. So, yeah, very impressed with the build-up. Atmosphere aside, I think the Saudis do a great job, don't they? It's very easy when you've got the budget they've got. You know, the undercards are very good undercards. So I just can't wait for Saturday, to be brutally honest, Ander. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Daz Medcalf, I'll come to you next, mate. I'll ask you, now Carl's brought it up, I'll ask you about the John Fury issue. I mean, what do we say to that? I mean, surely that's ABH, right?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, listen, I don't like it, mate. There's no need for it. There's just no need for it at all. It's. Let's be honest, it's getting boring now, isn't it?
But that takes his usual antics to a different level. He's always been vocal. He's always been the sort of guy that draws attention. You know, he throws chairs about and he bangs tables and he talks about Tyson Fury coming out of his balls and all of that malarkey. But this takes it to a different level and it's dangerous. You know, we're talking about the biggest fight, potentially the biggest fight in boxing history. Definitely the biggest fight for 25 years. And it could have been ended there and then.
Yeah, I don't think the fight was ever in danger. The only thing was in danger would have been John getting locked up or sent home, I think. But then, you know, what does that do for Tyson? Listen, it might do him a favour, if I'm honest, if he got sent home. It's just not...
Not a great look, is it?
No, there's just no need for it. No need for it at all. And like I say, it's getting boring now. He's doing it all the time. And it's not just it's not just him though. It has a ripple effect because then now you've got like Joe Egan, big Joe Egan coming out offering John Fury out, and then you've got Mickey Theo offering people. You've got all these people who were, names 20, 30 years ago who were, 50, 60 year old. It's like, pack it in. Do you know what I mean? Just behave, he said. This is boxing. It's not a circus.
And they've had their time, Daz, haven't they? They've had their time.
Listen, some of them, mate, haven't even had a time.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on, just let's,
It's all for a pound note, Daz, isn't it? When it comes to Mickey Theo and Egan, it's all for a pound note. Let's be honest.
I mean, somebody shared a video of I know Joe trade. At least I've never met Joe, but by all accounts, he's a very nice man. But he trades on this that Mike Tyson called him toughest white man on the planet, and he sparred with Tyson when listen. I saw an amateur fighter, Joe Egan's, other week. And I can't see that spar has lasted very long, if I'm honest. Tyson would be very, very, very polite if he did say that. But listen, that's past, and it's now we're on verge of we're a day or two away from an absolutely monstrous fight. So we don't need all these antics. Listen, I'm not down for all them anyway. You guys know that. I don't believe in all that. I don't even like trash talking, mate, if I'm honest. I just think you should get in there, do your work, get in there, and let your fish start talking. This fight doesn't need any of this. So that's my take on it.
Well, I can't disagree with you, mate. Harrison, these antics from John Fury, I mean, I'm guessing you're going to echo what the rest of us have said, that there's no place for it in boxing. But I
think Harrison likes it.
Does this Harrison? Does this put unneeded pressure on Tyson? Does it add drama that he don't need when he should be focusing? So that one first, but then the second one, touch on his weight and how you think him being so slim affects him in the fight.
I think it has to be affecting Tyson Fury. And if anyone's been following throughout Media Week, as I'm sure you all have been, his demeanor has been changing dramatically now every hour that we get closer to the fight. And that is because of the actions that have happened from Monday onwards. I can't repeat the language, but if anyone's seen the clips where the second Tyson Fury walked into the room, him speaking to John and asking what had happened, you could tell he was clearly angry at Big John Fury. So it's definitely having a mental effect on him. And I found the whole situation to be quite premeditated. I feel like John Fury's gone over there wanting to do that, wanting to get under someone of Usyk's team's skin and to really ruffle up the feathers. It's completely backfired. So whether want to do that or not, different situation. I just feel like he was going over there to help someone, and it's gone completely south. Really bad antics. It's not nice to see. It's completely unnecessary, like Daz said. There's just really no need for it. On the weight situation, I spoke about it earlier in the week. I'm one of the few who thinks it will play it into his advantage, but only if it's the right weight. If he's been training at around, so there's a lot of talk about this 19 stone mark. I think it'll be considerably lower than that, whatever it tends to be. If he's been training at that weight for a long time, what you've got to remember about heavyweight is they don't have to. They train at the weight that they fight. So clearly Tyson's been this weight for a long time, which is something he's really comfortable with. He's not having to shed 8-9 pounds to get down to 135 pounds, 140, whatever it may be. So I think there is something that will play to his strength. That he wants to be quicker on his feet in the ring against Usyk. He's obviously worried about Usyk's aggression and how technically gifted he is. So I think it will play to his strengths personally, as long as it's not too light.
Daz Ashton.
Yep.
This weight situation, and Harrison's spoke about it really, really well there. But the last time he lost loads and loads of weight, he lost it really quickly, and I think that's why it affected him. He's had 2 camps now, 2 full camps for this. Obviously, he had that full camp. The fight got cancelled because of the cut.
Yeah.
And now he's had another full camp. So Harrison's right. He's probably stayed down at this weight or around about, within maybe half a stone. He's probably stayed at this weight. So he's probably stronger now at this weight than the last time he would have gone down to it, right?
Well, I think like the weight that he's looking at suggests that he's actually going to come in and try and do a box and move job rather than sort of like the Deontay Wilder tactics where he was, heavier, looking to take him out. I think Cole could be right a little bit about it could go against him a little bit here. And another question is, if he does try and do the box and move tactics, which in the past he has been very good at, i.e. against Vladimir Klitschko, has he still got the legs for that? Has he still got the legs to do the moving that he used to be able to do? We'll find out Saturday. But I saw Johnny Nelson, I think it was, who said if he comes in at I can't remember what weight he said now, but he said if he comes in as light as what the saying is, then he thinks Usyk stops him.
Yeah.
And I personally don't see that happening, but there's a lot of questions to be asked. It's mainly at the weight he's at. It's whether he's got the legs still to be able to do what he used to be able to do with the box and move that he used to be so good at.
Interesting that one, because you're right. He hasn't used those tactics for a good 3 or 4 years. You're looking back to the first Deontay Wilder fight.
I think that's totally wrong tactic.
We criticised Joshua for trying to jump in and out boxer, and now Fury's going to try and adopt the same tactics.
Well, I think it's totally wrong. If he comes in and tries to outbox Usyk, I think it's
straight into his hands.
Shocking.
I agree with that, but if anyone is going to outbox Usyk, it will be Tyson Fury. Like, let's be honest, Fury's a better boxer than Joshua. Just big man. No, I agree. I think the better tactics would be to try and use his weight, bully Usyk. But if anyone can outbox Usyk, it will be Tyson Fury.
Thing is though, Usyk's ring IQ is massive.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally.
And the thing is, he could use the boxing, and he could still bully him. It could just bully him. This is like what I was calling for with Joshua. Pushing back behind a solid jab, getting solid jab, solid double jab, 1-2, like just the basics, 1-2 left hooks.
Yeah.
When you get close to him, push on him, lean on him. Do you know what I mean? It can do that. Yeah. It can do that with boxing. But if he's gonna be, I'm not saying he's gonna be negative, but if he's gonna try and like just purely outbox Usyk, I think he's going to make it a tough night for himself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Let me bring Sean in. Sean, has the Usyk team missed a trick here? Because if I was part of their team, I'd be using that whole situation with John Fury to their advantage. They could have been calling for the police. They could have been calling for him to be locked up. How much would that have disturbed Tyson Fury in them couple of days if he'd have been locked up for 24 hours, 48 hours? It's not, it's sort of thing that's not seen in that country. They just it's not an aggressive place. They don't do stuff like that. I'm surprised that it's just been swept under the carpet, and it's only because it's Tyson Fury's dad that it has. If this guy from Usyk's team had cried, and he wanted something doing about it, surely that would have worked in Usyk's favour.
I'm not sure you can say he's not seen in that country, Andy, when you look at the human rights record, but we'll skip over that.
No, that's a different kind of violence, Carl. That's a different kind of thing altogether.
No.
That question was to Sean, by the way.
Go on, Sean.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things there. I mean, first of all, in the John Fury situation, it's just totally WWE. I mean, if you're that triggered by someone shouting the name Usyk, there's something seriously wrong with you, in my opinion. And yeah, it's just no place for it in society anywhere, I don't think. In terms of the weight of Tyson, it's quite an odd one for me, because Sugar Hill he's an aggressive coach, isn't he? He wants your fighters on the front foot, coming forward and putting pressure on someone. So if they are the tactics or boxing and move, that just doesn't make any sense to me for that reason alone. And in terms of Team Usyk, who they're affected, let's be honest, they've had far worse things to deal with, all of them. I see a thing on Instagram of the guy that got headbutted. He was actually on the front line. So I don't think it affects him in the slightest. And I think Alex Krasik and the team have handled that really well, to be honest, what they've said and how they've reacted to it all.
Daz Medcalf, what do you make of the antics today about the ring? Usyk's complaining about the ring mat being a trip hazard.
Yeah, well, listen, if he don't feel that ring mat's up to standard, then he's got every right to. It's just like, when Tyson fought Klitschko, they brought up the actual matting under the canvas.
Yeah.
It's if you're not happy with something, you've got to say, you've got to speak up. I think it was the stitching.
It was, yeah.
It was the stitching. It was. I mean, to be fair, if that stitching is, sort of like protruding up, then it's pretty poor that from whoever set ring up for a fight of that magnitude. You expect that in gyms, you expect canvas stitched together like that in gyms, to be fair, but not in a fight of this magnitude.
Are you suggesting it's mind games, Andy? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah. Why not? I mean, I'm not saying for 1 second that what happened in Germany all those years ago was mind games, because I do believe that Peter Fury would have packed the bags and they would have gone home if that ring hadn't been changed.
Well, that were, that were a vital thing, you see, because Tyson was on the move against Klitschko.
Yeah, that's right.
And soft, soft canvas, his legs would have got tired, a lot quicker. Listen, a trip. If he believes it's a trip hazard, listen, we're talking like, hundreds of thousands to one shot here. But what if he didn't say anything and he sort of went to step forward and he caught his toe on it and I don't know, it took his mind off something and he got caught with a shot and laid out.
That's the team's job, and it does.
Of course it is. Yeah, you got to make sure everything's right. You got to make sure everything is perfect. Do you know what I mean? Listen, let's not just focus on how big a fight is for Fury. This is a massive, huge fight for Usyk as well. You know what I mean? This is cemented in history fight. This Usyk pulls this off. It's
Question for you then, Daz. Just I think you're on the verge of saying something there. Question for you then. I know you think Evander Holyfield's the best cruiserweight of all time that came up to heavyweight. If Usyk beats Tyson, does he take that mantle?
No.
Yeah, I think he does.
No chance. No. I'll tell you why. Because of quality of opposition. Simple fact. Holyfield went in with some absolute killers who beat some killers who if they were around now, would be heavyweight champion at world.
Agreed.
Agreed.
That 90s era was ridiculous. The talent in that 90s era.
Unbelievable. And I just think on quality of opposition. Listen, at cruiserweight, you think, he beat everybody, but Holyfield's resume at heavyweight is to where he come from. I think Holyfield stands alone.
Just out of interest, Daz, Lennox Lewis aside, who doesn't Tyson Fury beat on that resume?
Who what?
Who doesn't he
beat? What on Holyfield's resume?
Yeah.
I don't think he beat Holyfield himself.
Do you not?
No.
I do.
Listen. Tyson Fury is, a very good fighter. and I'm a big fan of Tyson's. But listen, I think you've got people like David Tua, you've got Riddick Bowe, yeah.
I think Fury beats them all apart from Lennox Lewis.
No. I mean, listen, he might come through, he might beat him, but he's not going to beat him convincingly. And I think, I don't think he beats Holyfield. But then when we're going on to this, we get on to we go back even further, don't we? And we say, so who would Holyfield? Who would Fury have beat in history? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such an odd one, Gaz, because of the way boxing changes and the size of Tyson compared to heavyweights in the past makes a big difference. That's his real advantage more than anything else. Yeah, he can box. But his real advantage is his size.
He knows how to use it as well.
Of course, mate.
He knows how to use it. I mean, the thing with heavyweight division, I mean, let's be totally honest, it's poor, isn't it? It's not great. We go back
the heavyweight division now. Yeah.
We go back to the 90s and we were blessed, weren't we? I
don't think Fury would have held his own in that era.
It may as well. It may well have held his own, but listen, I can't see him beating the likes of Bowe, Holyfield, Lewis. Especially not Lennox.
Not Lennox, but I've said not Lennox Lewis, but I think I think he beats him. I think he's one of them fighters where we won't truly appreciate him until he's retired.
Mate, listen, I do appreciate him, but you've got some absolute monsters. There were some monsters in that. I mean, Galotta gets overlooked on his day when he weren't cracking up, making chicken noises in corner. Galotta was an absolute handful. Do you know what I mean? Ike Biabucha was an absolute monster, but an absolute lunatic. There was loads of them. That now, if they were about now and they were, obviously right in the right frame of mind, they'd have probably dominated.
With social media, guys, crazy actually works for you now better, doesn't it? Look at Ryan Garcia.
Well, yeah.
Being nuts can actually help popularity through the roof.
This is kind of what I was saying about the way boxing changed, Jams. It's a completely different thing now. It's a completely different animal to back then. It was all about pure boxing and pure fighting, and who was the biggest, strongest, and best. And it ain't really about that anymore. It's about how many clicks you can get, and how many millions you can get put in your bank before you step in the ring. And that's that isn't necessarily a bad thing. These guys are putting their lives on the line. The most money they can get, great, good on them. Interesting though, Carl. I'll come to you because with your comment with Daz there, Tyson, he's changed his tune a lot about Alexander Usyk in the last year. I mean, it wasn't that long ago he was calling him a blown up middleweight. If I can't beat this blown up middleweight, I should retire. And now he's saying, obviously because it's fight week, and now he's saying this is the best opponent I've ever faced. And he's also said if he beats Alexander Usyk, he's the best heavyweight of all time. So thoughts on those comments, mate?
What I'd say about Fury is he's forever playing mind games. He's never quite sure when he's talking sensibly and when he's on the wind-up.
I missed it. Sorry, Carl. Who's best heavyweight of all time?
Tyson says if he beats Usyk, he's the best heavyweight of all time.
Oh, Tyson himself's the best heavyweight of all time.
He said that, yeah.
All right.
He has said it before multiple times.
Yeah, he's not shy in coming forward, is he? I mean, I don't agree with him being best heavyweight of all time.
He says a lot of things, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that's Lennox Lewis in my view. I've always stood by that. I rate Lennox Lewis best, but I do. Just coming back to the 90s, I stand by what I said. I think Fury would beat all of them apart from Lennox Lewis, to be honest with you. But no, I think Fury's on the wind-up. He's clearly trying to get inside Usyk's head. Listen, he comes out of all that middleweight, blown up middleweight gap tooth, sausage, rabbit, whatever else he comes out with during fight week, every fight he has. I'd just rather him. He likes to think himself as an entertainer. I'd just like him just to close his mouth now and get ready to show us how entertaining he is inside the ring. Is my honest.
Right, round robin then, lads. So I'll start with Håkan. We've all had our opinions over the last few weeks of who we thought was going to win this fight, and I'm just interested to hear firstly whether you think, because of build up this week, whether you think anything's changed in your mind, and if so, who now wins the fight, and how does it play out?
I think I had Usyk to win on points before, but I think I'm concerned about the judges, not the persons who are judges, but how close that Frank Warren is to Turkey Akash. And for me, I think Usyk needs to win 9 rounds to get the decision. So
well, okay.
I will go.
That's interesting.
I think it will go to points, and I think Fury wins on decision.
Okay,
maybe it could be split decision too.
Okay.
I think it will be a very close fight.
Okay, cool, mate. Jams, what's your opinion? Has your thought process on the fight changed?
To be honest with you, Andy, I've changed my mind on this fight probably 5 or 6, 7 times by now.
Come on, flip flop.
I just can't help it, mate. I just can't stick to an opinion on it. I started with Usyk on point. I'm not going to go through them all again because I did that the other day. But at the minute, I'm actually now on a Fury late stoppage to the body. I just think he's going to absolutely work on Usyk's body. And I don't know, I've just got a feeling, mate. I've got this feeling that Fury is going to stop him late on, maybe around the 10th.
Darren...
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Have you seen about Usyk made an official complaint today about the ring canvas?
Yeah, we spoke about that before you came on, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't see that.
That's all right. No worries, pal. No worries. Darren Ashton, let's have your thoughts, mate. Have you changed at all?
Yeah, several times I have. I met Carl heard this one the other day. I'm expecting a very, very close chess match. Don't think there'll be any knockdowns or anything like that. And I'm probably edging towards a very close split decision win for Usyk. But everyone keeps saying about Fury targeting Usyk's body, which he possibly will do. I think it's going to be harder for him to hit Usyk's body than a lot of people are saying, with the height difference and how he's going to have to get down low. And I also think people are missing the point about that Usyk, I think, will also target Fury's eye with the cut that he had. And, he has got a very good jab. And even though Joshua's not as tall as Fury, Usyk out-jabbed Joshua. So it is possible to do and target the eye and bust it up. I also echo Håkan's opinion about the judges. I think the way they keep harping on Turkey Al-Sheikh and that about wanting Joshua and Fury, that is a little bit of a concern for me. Would it be unpopular to sort of like give Usyk any kind of decision? And I do think he's going to have to win a lot of rounds to get a decision. But I do think he is going to win quite a lot of rounds, and I am going to edge towards a split decision Usyk. If he doesn't win, I think it'll be a draw and head for a second fight.
Any other predictions? So there's 2 results, Daz. Any other? Fancy a Fury win as well?
No, I'm not going for a Fury win, no.
Right.
Go on then, Carl. Let's have your straight down the line point.
Tyson Fury, round 7 knockout or stoppage.
Back the Brits.
That's just where I think it's going to go.
Harrison, what's your thoughts?
Well, mine isn't going to have as much conviction as that, but I do think Tyson Fury will win. And the best way that I was able to break this down was I looked at the last 5 or 6 fights of either of them, and I rewatched all of them, and I went to myself, I'm going to find a weakness in one of the 2 of them. that was a complete fail, because the quality and the class of these two is just so unbelievable that you could sit there for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours if you wanted to and pick out little bits and bobs, but there isn't a lot. The only thing is the strategy, and not a lot of people have been talking about this. Usyk's actually quite a bit more aggressive than people think. We talk about him being this sort of technical move-about fighter who picks jabs here and there and then moves out of the way. He does work quite a lot to get close, and he's going to have to do that more in this fight more than any time in the past, because you're looking at a 6'9", possibly 250, 260-pound man. The man's a bloody giant. So if Usyk wants to get his best work on the inside to the body or up top with to Fury, he's going to have to get close. And I think that aggression will play into Fury's strength, because I think a bit lighter on his feet, he's going to have that movement to take him around the ring as he wants to, but can also sort of pile his pressure and, wrestle him when he needs to. So I just think there's a little bit more to Tyson Fury than there is to Usyk. I know that's a bit of a daft thing to say, razor tight thing, but I'm going to stick to my guns this time. I said Tyson Fury 10th in the week, and I'm going to stick to that now, I think.
Sean, all the way in Oz. Let's hear it, mate.
Yeah, well, my prediction's not changed, really. I said Usyk from day one, and I stand by that, but I'm even more confident now, to be honest. I think that, well, I can actually see a way Usyk stops him late, round 11 or 12. I just think he's going to outbox him so much. I think he's going to exhaust Fury, and I know that's never been done before, but I just think he's not going to be there to be hit. He's quite hard to hit, in my opinion, I think, anyway, Usyk. And I just think he isn't going to be there for Fury to come forward and plough through like he did with Wilder at times. And I just see Usyk putting on the boxing clinic, really, and winning quite wide on points or a late stoppage, as I say.
That's Metcalf.
I can see it going a multitude of ways, to be honest. Yeah. A lot depends for me on tactics. If Fury comes in 19 stone, 19 and a bit, and fights the way he fought Wilder in second fight, I don't see Usyk being able to live with that, if I'm honest. As long as Tyson does it intelligently, behind a jab, aggressive double jab, and just uses his size in close, leans on him, works to body. I don't think he could cope with that. But then if he uses these tactics, listen, I think if he gets in a chess match with Usyk, I think Fury loses. So, plain fact, I think Usyk's got a way bigger ring IQ. I also think that this could. I've got a thing we could see a draw here. To be fair, there's all sorts of factors that we see. On weigh in, we'll see then, and then we'll see as soon as first bell goes. I don't know. I'm starting to favour, with what I've heard, we are light is going to be in these tactics, supposedly trying to outbox him. I sort of favour Usyk in a chess match. But sticking my neck out, I'll choose one at 3. I think it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be a draw. I think we're going to get a draw.
I wouldn't rule that out.
I've heard a lot of people same. A lot of people I know have picked draws. Neutrals, corner boxing's picked a draw. Loads of others from America have certainly picked a draw. It's a very common pick at the moment.
It's a very interesting thing, because this, like you've all said, there's lots of possible scenarios. I'm concerned about Tyson's weight. I think that cut's going to, as soon as Usyk lands, that cut's going to blast open. I don't think anyone's been anywhere near that in sparring. I think they've kept it careful. They will have had to have done. And he's shown when he's been slim in the past that he cuts really easily. If that cut opens up early, that changes the fight dramatically, because Tyson will be then rushing to try and end the fight quick. And I actually think that Tyson rushing and not being aggressive in the right way, plays into Usyk's hands.
That's what
because of Usyk's ring IQ. It all depends, like Daz has said, it all depends on tactics. I've said Tyson because of his size in previous shows that we've talked about. But I'm concerned about his weight. I actually think, and I echo what Harrison says, Usyk's a lot more aggressive than people really give him credit for being. But he's always very smart the way he does it. I actually think he's going to make Tyson work harder than he's had to work in any fight in the last few years. If you look at the way, apart from Wilder 1, Tyson's pretty much had, well, you say Wilder 3 as well, because he probably got 2 involved with Wilder in that fight. But other than those 2, he's had it all his own way. He definitely ain't going to get it all his own way this weekend. I actually think Usyk's going to put pressure on. I actually think he's got very quick hands. He throws a lot of shots. I think he's going to try and wear Tyson down. We're going to find out, in my opinion, what Tyson's got left in his legs, because that's not been tested in the last 3 or 4 fights either. I'm edging towards an Usyk points win. I think Tyson, if Tyson doesn't dent him early on, I think it could be really, really difficult for Tyson to implement his game plan because Usyk's so smart.
Do you know if Tyson uses that jab and an aggressive jab, come forward behind it, puts the right hand, left hooks there, left hook to body, jab to body, all sorts. Do you think Usyk could cope with that, being pushed back? Because I don't think Usyk in a million years from Fury's part should be allowed to have Fury on back foot. I think that is an absolute disaster.
Of course it is. No, I agree with you. I just think Usyk's so good at making people work. Look at what he did to Tony Bellew. He's so good. And I know Tony Bellew is not the same as Tyson, don't get me wrong. But he made it look like Tony Bellew was having lots and lots of success in that fight. And all he was doing was wearing him out.
But he did have...
Because he was making... And that's just from Usyk, making him, like, fainting. Making him work and move a lot. And I've got a feeling that's how he's going to try and adopt the fight, is to try and make Tyson move a lot.
Do you not sort of think, though, Bellew, because my opinion on the Bellew fight was he did have success. He did land shots. But
he did. But that was because Usyk allowed him to.
Well, I don't think he allowed him to. I don't think you're going to allow a power puncher to hit you on purpose.
Bellew just
and basically Bellew landed shots of his own accord. Let's be right. Usyk's hittable.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He's not.
The point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make though is that he made Bellew work harder than he's ever worked in a fight. Yeah, that's why when it come to round 7 he got knocked out.
Yeah, but do you not think that
when it come to that stage in the fight, he had absolutely nothing left, and the shot that knocked him out, was no more than a jab.
I'll tell you what, if he gives Tyson Fury 6 rounds like that, Tyson Fury would have knocked him out by the time he gets to the second.
Exactly. I mean, thing is as well with Bellew. I mean, I watched, watch it. Listen, we've all watched that fight, but I think Bellew's tactics for that were madness. If I'm honest, trying to outbox.
He emptied the tank.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tony Bellew is a massive puncher, and he were like trying to outbox Usyk. And listen, he had success. He landed shots, but he was constantly on the move.
Yeah. That's kind of my point, Daz. Yeah. That's just what Usyk does. He does it without people realizing it. That's the sort of pressure you can put on people. Now, Tyson, don't get me wrong, Tyson's smart. And I agree with you. If Tyson uses that double jab and follows it up, Usyk's in for a really tough night, and that's probably how he wins the fight. It's whether he can adopt that straight away. He needs to be coming out from the first bell throwing that double jab, and if that doesn't happen, then it could be a completely different fight.
Well, if he can't, if he can't as heavyweight champion, as WBC heavyweight champion at world, if he can't come out and implement them tactics straight from start, that strengthens my argument. He wouldn't have lived with Holyfield, Bo, Lewis, or anyone.
The one guy.
Sorry, go on.
The one I was going to say, the one guy who got his tactics right against Usyk was Chisora.
Yeah,
he got the tactics spot on.
Yeah,
well, that's exactly where I wanted to go in there.
Yeah.
Of the heavyweight fights that Usyk's had, just the heavyweight fights, Chisora's probably the one who's troubled him the most. Joshua had 24 opportunities to and didn't really give him much. He got a little better in the second fight, but if you look there, Chisora was the one who gave him the bang for his money. But then that kind of plays into the strength of Fury, because I think Usyk's had quite an easy ride at heavyweight. I think this is also, you've got to remember, the most difficult fight of Usyk's career. Well,
when he jumped in with Joshua was in a transitional phase, right? You could argue for both fights.
I'll tell you what, if Joshua got back in the ring with him now, I'd actually give Joshua a really good chance, given what I've seen in the last years. I just think on the Ben Davison situation and the way he's gone over the last 2 years, he's a completely different fighter. And I think Usyk is as well. Usyk's not he's not gone and sprung stars at heavyweight, has he? He's just beaten who he's had to, but he's never looked incredible.
Let's bring everything.
But you've got to put into. I was going to say, you've got to put into context about Joshua. Why is he looking so good? Who's he beat that you can say he'd have a good chance against Usyk? He beat guys that are static in front of him.
Yeah, that's completely fair. But the way
Usyk is all wrong for Anthony Joshua. Joshua hasn't got the boxing skills and ring IQ of Usyk, and he'll never beat him.
Yeah, but Dad, I don't think he needs. I think he just needs to big man him. I said that before the fights. I expected Joshua to big man him. He can beat him.
Yeah, but I was just going to say though as well. Chisora in that fight with Usyk, I agree, he got the tactics right, but there was also a part in that fight where he come forward, what he was doing, he left himself open, and Usyk did catch Chisora in that fight, and the bell ended, and he looked pretty gone at the end. I can't remember what round it was, but Chisora got.
Chisora, aren't we? You know, with all due respect, we talk about Derek Chisora. Do you think there's some degree of rose-tinted glasses on when we talk about Usyk in the heavyweight division? I do.
No, I think he's really good.
Yeah, I think
the one thing I was going to say about the Chisora and Usyk fight, for me, I think that was Usyk's second fight at heavyweight, and I think there was elements to that fight of him testing things to see what he could and what he couldn't do. And now I think he's found his style at heavyweight, which he knows he can implement and be effective at. So I will carry out that a bit with Chisora.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Really interesting, guys, isn't it? I mean, I think we've all got different opinions. We've all given a different answer as to how we think the fight ends, which tells you just how close the fight is. Apart from Carl, who's said from day one he thinks that Tyson Fury stops Usyk. The rest of us have kind of switched a little bit and given different opinions. I think it's a really, really, really close fight. And it's the right fight to be undisputed as well. I know everyone wanted to see Tyson Fury against AJ. But if it had happened when it was being touted to, it would have been a very one-sided fight to Tyson because AJ was in no state. I think this is the right fight for undisputed for the four belts. I just hope it plays out the way we want it to play out, and it becomes let's not get this mixed up, lads. The whole world's eyes are going to be on this fight. This is defining for boxing in this era. It has to be a good fight. If it's a stinker, we've lost a big opportunity here as a boxing world. It has to be a good fight.
But let's be honest, like Tyson Fury was saying, whoever loses the fight will activate the rematch. Fair enough. But if you get a one-sided fight or whatever, there ain't going to be like that many people wanting to tune into a rematch. Even though it's the two fighters who it is, they're not going to.
It's the scorecards, the judges that I worry about. That's what will give it a bad name again.
I think there'll be some controversy for a rematch.
Don't worry about the scorecard, Jams, because it ain't going that far.
I hope not, mate. But what I mean
you sound like my dad, Carl.
Again,
he keeps telling me that.
Watch boxing for these big fights will be turned off by bad scoring. That's what damages the sport more than anything else, is the scoring system. Like most people I speak to on X who don't know much about boxing, but they tune into these big fights, they say, well, there's no point in watching it because the winner never gets the fucking decision. And they don't come back and watch it again because of that. And that's how we're turning off so many fans from our great sport.
I agree with you, but let's, we can all have opinions. I completely agree what you're saying, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt and see what happens first.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Right, lads. Let's move on to some of the undercard fights. There's some great fights. There's some other world title fights that have gone completely under the radar. Joe Cordina. He's fighting for the IBF and IBO super featherweight titles against Anthony Kakachi, I believe.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting fight. This. I've gone on record on previous shows as saying I think Joe Cordina is right up there as one of the best fighters we've got in Britain. I think he's absolutely outstanding. I think he has everything. Daz, we'll come to you, Daz Medcalf. We'll come to you first. Quick, we'll do these as quick round robins because there's quite a few to get through and there's loads of us on the show. How do you think this fight plays out, Daz?
Yeah, I think Cordina stops him.
Hakan? Or Hakan, sorry.
Cordina points for me.
Jams?
Cordina points for me, Andy.
Darren Aston?
I think Kakachi will roll the dice, give it a really good go, but I'm expecting Cordina close on points.
Okay, Harrison?
Yeah, no Trent Buckles. I do think Anthony Kakashi's a really, really solid lightweight, and he has been around for quite a while now. Nearly a perfect record as well, only a tight loss to Martin Ward, but I think Cordina, like you said, one of the best fighters we have in this country, so I think he'll get him on points. Sean, what's your feeling, mate?
Yeah, I think Cordina will get a late stoppage around 11.
Okay, Carl?
All about levels, isn't it? Cordina's levels above this guy. I know he's a solid fight, but nowhere near Cordina's level. So I'm going to go stoppage round 10.
I think he's a very solid fighter. But like I've just said, I think Cordina is one of the best we've got. In fact, I actually think he's underrated. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I'm going Cordina stoppage mid to late rounds as well. Okay, moving on. Jai Opetaia is fighting for the vacant IBF cruiserweight belt against Breedis. Breedis has been out of the ring 2 years, and the last time he fought was against Jai and lost on points. So, again, quick round robin. Carl, start with you.
Yeah, I'm glad Breedis is no longer wearing his Mario outfit and he's getting back to serious business. I think Jai Opetaia will win this, but Breedis is a tough cooker, so I think this may go late. So I'm going to go Jai Opetaia to win on points.
Harrison?
I agree with the man, not the outcome. I think Jai Opetaia is one of the best fighters around at the minute. He's just so entertaining to watch. He's fantastic. Great bit of power to him. I'm excited to see him when he campaigns at heavyweight. Marius Breidis has been out of the ring for too long, unfortunately, messing around with all that Jake Paul rubbish. So I think Jai Opetaia stops him pretty early here.
Darren Ashton?
Brady's never been stopped before, but I think inactivity will probably cost him here. So I'm probably going to go Opetaia stoppage midway, something like that.
Sean?
I agree. I think Opetaia will win. I think around 9. You know, he's really popular here, as he would be an Australian, and I think if they have the ability to, he could be the real next star for Australian boxing.
Yeah, I agree, Sean. Outstanding. Daz Medcalf?
I think Opetaia on points.
Hakan?
I think Opetaia stoppage round 6. By the way, I'm very happy that I took the chance to see Opetaia live last year in London. Even though the fight
and last but not least, Jams?
Yes, mate. For me, this is fight of the night. This is the one I'm looking forward to the most, believe it or not. I love Jai Opetaia. I think he's a future absolute beast at the weight is at cruiser and at heavyweight. For me, he's going to take care of Breedis because he's been out 2 years. Knockout 6th round.
Yeah, I think he stops Breedis as well. I think Breedis has been out way too long. I think he's only coming back for the money. It's a completely different fight to that first fight. Yeah, I'm going for I'm going for round 8 stoppage. Okay. Ajit Caballel against Frank Sanchez. Now, these two guys have got almost identical records. They're both 24-0. Caballel's got 16 KOs. Sanchez has got 17. But if you look at the records, I'd argue Caballel's fought a much better level of opponent. So again, very quick. Start with you, Håkan.
Frank Sanchez stoppage round 7.
Frank Sanchez.
Yeah.
Jams.
For me, mate, I'm going Caballel, knockout round 8.
Daz Metcalf.
Yeah, I'm going Caballel.
What, stoppage points?
Points.
Okay, Sean.
I've got Sanchez points on this one.
Darren Aston.
Another chess match, this one for me. But I think Ajit Caballel will be a bit too active for Frank Sanchez, who for me sits there and waits too long sometimes and can be negative in his fight. So I'm going to go Caballel on points.
Harrison.
This is my fight of the night on the undercard. I really, really like this fight. I cannot believe Ajit Caballel's such a big underdog. It really amazing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's about a 9-4, 5-2 underdog, and I can't really figure out why that. To me, that's quite. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest, because like Andy said, I think that Caballel's been fighting at a much bigger level. That Makhmudov win last time out is the real sort of stiffing point between the two of them. Frank Sanchez could be really good, but he's been sort of top-ranked locked with cherry-picked fights, or PBC rather, where they've picked and choose who he's going to fight. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Caballel, and I think he's going to knock him out here pretty light. Good 9th.
Carl?
Yeah, I don't actually agree with Harrison. I think this could be a snooze fest. Frank Sanchez just too slow, boring to watch. Neither of these two reached high echelons of the heavyweight division, in my view. So I'm going to go for a boring points win for Caballel.
You've sold that well.
I might get a can from the fridge when that fight's on, because I think it's going to be
I have a feeling you might be right, Cole. I've got a feeling it's going to be one of those that drags a little bit. I hope not. I hope it catches fire, but I just don't think it's going to. I think you might. I think Cole's right. I think even though they've got a good KO percentages of both of them, it's not been against the best of quality. Yeah, I'm seeing a draw, a ball fest draw all day long. Right. Interesting one. This is Moses Italma. He's now got Ben Davison as his coach. Now he's in against not the best of opponents, to be honest. But I just wanted your opinion, guys, on what a difference this might make for his career. It's very early on. Ben's very well known for bringing young talent through. Carl, I'll come to you for this one.
Yeah, I mean, for that illustrious belt into WBO Intercontinental, that illustrious belt. So I'm sure he'll be up for it. I like Moses Italma, but he's got to earn his stripes, right? Sometimes we can be a bit impatient, can't we, as British boxing fans?
Yeah.
But they've not done him any favours, have they, by saying he wants to win he wants to become the youngest heavyweight title and take that belt, take that accolade off Mike Tyson. For me, I'm surprised Warren come out with that, because it adds a bit of pressure. Looking at his opponent, because often we all know about Italma, so I tend to look at the opponent. He retired to Tom Swartz, so is that a measuring stick? I don't know. Ben Davison, we all know what he's done with Lee Wood. He turned his career around and turned him into a world champion. We can all see, I know people talk about AJ, especially Ashton's mentioning his AJ back, isn't he? You can't argue that he has brought the sport back to AJ's career by the looks of it. So I think Davidson's a good fit with him. Like you say, he's good at bringing people through. He keeps people grounded. I like all the data side of it that they've got going on at the gym. Even if it's sometimes I think it's a bit of a red herring, if I'm honest with you, about the amount of data they've got on fighters and this pack that Lee Wood talks about that he gets given to before any fights. But no, good. Who do you expect him to jump in with at this stage? You know, he's got to keep climbing the ladder, hasn't he? So I think it's good exposure for him, good paydays out inside where if inevitably he wants to fight in the future, obviously. And the Ben Davison matchup, you know, he could have gone to Daz Medcard, but he obviously chose Ben Davison.
And that segue is working really well because I'll come to you next, Daz.
Yeah, listen, Moses is just doing what all young heavyweights do. He's fighting who's put in front of him. He doesn't choose the opponents, and he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. And we can only judge him as the opponents get better.
Harrison, are you buying into this? He's going to be the youngest heavyweight champion of all time?
No.
Or do you agree with Carl? It's way too much pressure.
Far too much pressure and so unnecessary. It's not like Frank to say something like that. Obviously, he rates the kid, and for what we've seen so far, he's good. I was there last time out when he fought at your call. Got a nice, easy first-round knockout. A lot of people saying like they want to see him step up. But there is levels, especially at the heavyweight division. You have to be very cautious. And the kid's 19. He's going to be around for a long, long time. So I'm okay with this sort of record padding, if you will. Like Carl, I had a look at the bloke's record as well. He lost to Tom Schwartz twice over 5 years difference as well. So there's no, I don't know. It's very difficult to know how good this guy's going to be. But it's a good, these are the type of fighters I think Turk El-Sheikh really wants on the card. It's explosive, hard-hitting heavyweights who can go out there and make a name for themselves, make highlight reel knockouts. And I'm excited to see him out on Saturday night. But again, there's no rush on him.
Jams.
Yeah, I like him. I like the look of him. Obviously, we need to see him step up in opponents. Like everyone said already, there's not much I can add. I don't think he'll become the youngest ever heavyweight, to be honest, world champion, beating Mike Tyson's record. But he's going to be an interesting journey. He can bang, and that's always entertaining, and I look forward to what he delivers.
Darren Aston.
Yeah, I like what we've seen, like echo what a lot of the others have said. The only thing for me is, like, I don't like jump on the bandwagon too early. We've seen lots and lots of heavyweights go through what they go over the first early part of the career at pro, banging out people out, and then they step up and they get found out. So for me, you're not going to see him tested now for probably 5 or 6 fights, maybe a bit longer. But the one thing I can say, he's doing his job. He's doing it very good. I like the Ben Davison link up as a trainer. I think the one thing you can get with Ben Davison, you won't just have a plan A, you'll have a plan B as well as with the way he can like adapt a fighter in the ring. So yeah, hopefully we can have another brilliant heavyweight on our books. Let's see.
Sean, what's your feelings?
In terms of Ben Davison, I think it's really good because he's got Anthony Joshua almost as a role model, if you like, an action. He can take him under his wing. Not that he needs it, but he's got that as well. And in terms of his career and who he should fight, I don't know how far away it will be, but I think a good fight for both of them will be him and Johnny Fisher because he's the English champion. You know, then you've got a true measuring stick of where a team is at, and I think that's just the natural fight to make in 2 or 3 fights' time.
Sure, it could be the 5 versus 5 in September at Wembley. That might be a shot.
Think that, yeah.
Yeah,
Shot that is.
Yeah, that'd be a really good fight for that guy.
Hawken?
I like Itoma a lot, and I would like to see him in his upcoming 4 or 5 fights, and then maybe some of the other top British fighters. Maybe a delay in a couple of fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad shot as well. I completely agree with Harrison. The kid's not even got his man strength. He's got so much growing to do, and he's come into the sport at such a young age. Heavyweights don't mature till the late 20s. He's got 10 years before he gets to that stage. I think it's great that he's the talent he is, but to try and put a time scale on him to become heavyweight champion, I think is absolutely crazy. Just let him do what he's doing in whatever way he wants to. He could become the future of the sport, but we've heard that already before from Queensberry, haven't we? Daniel Dubois was meant to be the next big thing, and he had a lot of fights where you could say the opponents were handpicked, and then he got his whiskers chin checked, and it all falls apart. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen. I don't think you should rush this kid. I think you should take the time with him.
I mean, if he's in the 90s, I'd have rushed him through because there's all bums in the 90s apart from Lewis. But you need
to behave, mate.
Take your time.
Wow. Okay, I mean,
well, lads, hasn't he? Former to become the youngest heavyweight champion because ain't he already 19 and Tyson was 19, so he's only got a match bump, so it ain't gonna happen when he's fighting people like he's fighting out in Saudi.
Yeah.
No.
So he can't do it. Literally, it's impossible for him to become the youngest heavyweight champion now because it'd have to be this year.
Tyson,
I've just read as well something interesting. There's no UK radio coverage this weekend of the fight card.
Yeah, the BBC sent a team out there this week, and they've been doing
a deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've been doing the usual.
They've what?
They couldn't do a deal.
Yeah, they tried for about a week, and there was no way of getting a deal. And TalkSport were completely snuffed out of the situation, apparently.
That is a shambles. That is.
That's wrong. It's so wrong.
Good, is it? That's just going to hurt the sport even more.
Well, that's all. That all comes down to one person, don't it?
Yeah, His Excellency.
No, Tyson Fury.
Well,
Tyson Fury doesn't like. That talks and about the BBC. He said he'd never ever deal with the BBC again after the way they treated him.
Not up to him though. You know, he can't stop a broadcast.
Of course it is.
No, it is.
Yeah, he can, mate.
I don't think so.
He can.
He's had difficulties with Sky Sports in the past. They're still broadcasting this fight. Ultimately, broadcasters are what make fights happen. He can't just turn around and go, I'm not going to fight if 5 Live are doing the radio. That's not how it works. The broadcasters have too much power over the sports.
Yeah. Well, the TV broadcasters may do, mate, because of the amount of money that's involved. But when you're talking about a radio broadcaster, I don't think it's the same sort of level. I honestly think that, and it's happened already. TalkSport have said that they've literally been told Tyson doesn't want you at this fight, and I'm not about this fight, but previous fights, because of their opinions or how he sees their opinions on him. He's made sure they've not been at shows, so he can do what he wants. He's the headliner.
Terrible situation, that, to be honest. Terrible.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Who can call the fights and who can have an opinion? That's just ridiculous. Horrible, isn't it?
25 years,
That's
undisputed,
right.
and you ain't getting it broadcast on the radio.
My dad and grandma, that's the only way they view boxing. They only listen on the radio. They don't pay for the fights. They ain't even got a TV. They only listen on the radio. So they're going to be devastated.
Yeah.
It's not a great situation, lads, but unfortunately, we see it time and time again with boxers, not just recently, but fighters that get punched for a living. It amazes me, they get punched for a living, but then when somebody has an opinion about them that they don't like, all of a sudden it's a massive drama, and they can't seem to cope with it, and I don't understand. I don't get it. And it's not just Tyson Fury either. Loads of them do it. Loads of them don't like it when someone gives an opinion that isn't falling on their side.
No, I agree,
I've never really understood it. And obviously, odds being a channel, going to shows, and it just you see it. You can see it. Someone says something in a comment in an interview that they don't like. They just all of a sudden the mannerisms and everything changes. It's crazy. I just find it really strange. Anyway, that's.
Andy, sorry,
I was just going to say quickly, when I went to the Birmingham show that I went for you guys, representing you guys there, I was sitting next to someone from IFL, and I made a comment about Joe Joyce, about seeing him up close. You realise how slow he actually is. And they were like, no, it's just the way he fights. That it's just the way he fights. And I was like, no, I said, but he's going to get found out again if he gets up against better opposition. No, but that's just the way. Like, I could not say. And what I'm saying is, not just the fighters, like the media that are all very well tuned in with the fighters. I could not say a bad word about Joe Joyce. I was being shut down straight away, and I was like, "Geez, all right."
What I was going to say is Ryan Garcia, after the Devin Haney fight, he was saying about how he's going to kill him in the ring. I put a simple message to him in his DMs. I said, that's not very godlike of you, is it? He got me banned from X for 3 weeks. All I said is that's not very godlike, saying you're going to kill someone in the ring. You know what I mean? And he had a right tantrum. Apparently my opinion's not valid enough to say that. Yet he's saying he's going to murder someone in the ring. They can't take it, mate. They just can't take any kind of criticism.
You've got to be very, very careful these days. You have.
Yeah, I was banned for 3 weeks, mate. Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that, should it? You should be allowed to give an opinion, which is why on this channel we do. And if that means that in the future we don't get interviews with certain people, then tough shit. We don't get interviews with certain people, but we'll always say it how it is, right, Carl?
So Talk Sport are doing a watch along with Adam Smith and Catterall and that lot. So they're doing it by way of watch along rather than broadcasting live from the venue, which I suppose is not a bad second best.
At least it's something, I suppose.
Because there's no atmosphere anyway, so let's be honest.
Got to agree.
Yeah, that's the only thing that lets this. I mean, it's a gigantic fight. Like I've said. I don't know if you guys agree. It's the biggest fight for 25 years. The heavyweight division has always been the premier division in boxing. Recent years, you can say, okay, there's lots of other divisions that are lots more exciting, but it's always about the big prize. The heavyweight championship of the world has always been the big one. And it's going to be a shame. It's going to be a shame that it's in front of an audience that really aren't going to appreciate it.
Does anyone
I
know
don't agree that Tyson Fury's got as much sway to stop radio stations broadcasting, if I'm honest. What I think you might find is maybe the strategy is less radio stations that are free to air, so people actually buy the fight on pay-per-view. Maybe that might be a possibility why they're not having radio coverage.
That sounds more feasible to me.
They could have very well easily been priced out of it as well. You've got to remember the BBC are working on a TV license budget for things like this. And if Turkey Al Sheikh's turned around and said we want X million for the over the top terrestrial rights, they can't afford it. Now the Talk Sports situation is completely different because they're working on quite a high budget from what I know. So it's interesting that they're going a lot. But then again, with the watch along side of things, I find that quite interesting because if you look at the viewership, and people who do fan channels for Premier League clubs, I won't name any, but they do incredibly good numbers. So watch-alongs, I think that's quite a good idea, really, from TalkSport, actually.
Well, it's a good plan B because you've still got Adam Smith calling the fight, haven't you? So, you know, There's not really much difference.
He's basically going to commentate, isn't he?
He is,
yeah. Does anyone know what the attendance is going to be? Because I know it's sold out, but I don't know what the arena holds or any... Do you know Hawkan at all? If anyone's going to know.
I believe it's close to 15,000.
That's a fight in this magnitude, isn't it? If that was at Wembley,
I'm going to watch Villa.
I was looking, just checking ticket sales when they released, and the seating plan for tire seats wasn't that high, so I don't think it's more than 13 to 15,000.
You get a bit of noise from the Fury fans, wouldn't you? You'll hear a bit of noise from the Fury clan.
Go on, Sean.
Yeah. I was just going to say, given it's broadcast on 3 different broadcasters back home, which one do you think will be the most popular out of the 3 in terms of viewing figures and whatnot?
Sky, probably.
I'll go to Sky.
I think the Zone because it's cheaper.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's only £1 though.
Yeah, but pound to pound, mate. People are penny pinchers these days. Everyone's.
I'll be honest. I was going to do the Zone. I think I'm going to do Sky because I've seen the Zone. They've got the Tyson. You've got Joseph Parker. They're all Tyson Fury fans, aren't they? So I want a bit more of a.
The rationale I'm coming from is people often watch the Zone now, don't they, to watch other fight nights. So I think they just naturally stay on that platform to watch this. Whereas Sky Sports boxing, not so frequent. You know, you could argue TNT not so frequent. So I think I expect DAZN to come out on top, to be honest.
Yeah, interesting though. Interesting what Sean's just brought up there, because to me it's all about the commentary team and what they bring to the, especially in a place like Saudi where the atmosphere in the arena is not great. You know, it's down to the broadcasting team then to bring the fight alive at times. So interesting then. Let's have a quick round robin. Which broadcasting team do you prefer out of the ones that are going to be on offer? Carl, we'll come to you first.
Well, have they been confirmed who they are?
Well, no, let's go with who's normally broadcasting on these channels.
DAZN has been confirmed.
They do chop and change a little bit, don't they?
Josie Parker's on DAZN, one of them.
Yeah, but he's not the main commentator though, is he? He'll be just like an analyst.
Todd Grisham will have DAZN probably.
Well, I don't think Mike Costello's transferred over to TV particularly well, to be honest with you.
I agree with that.
So the DAZN broadcast, as much as I'm not saying it's poor, but I quite like Carl Frampton. I quite like his insight. He breaks fights down well. So I'd probably lean towards TNT, to be honest with you. You got on Sky, you got Johnny Nelson, who I find a bit of a yes man. But I'll be honest with you, all three of them commentary teams are biased, aren't they? Depending on who they're representing. Let's be honest.
Which one's Barry Jones on? Because I like Barry Jones. He talks.
DAZN.
Yeah,
Barry Jones is good.
Yeah, see, my favourite of who's out there at the minute is Andy Clark.
Andy's good.
Yeah,
Andy's not really good in the game.
He's very fair as well. He calls it down the line. He's not afraid, as you've seen with Ben Whittaker. He's not afraid to call people out for things that he don't think's right.
Yeah.
He's got a very good boxing history brain. He understands the sport. He's my favourite. It all depends on who you put with him though, because I don't like Macklin very much.
If it was an option, I'd go with a bloody voice of boxing, Adam Smith. But he's only on TBM now, isn't he? And TalkSport.
Yeah, it's a real strange one that Sky didn't want to bring him back in. I don't understand that.
The poor bloke had cancer and they cut him loose. It's disgusting, to be honest, after how much service he gave that channel.
This is it why I say there's an interview on the channel. Check it out. There you
go. Okay, mate.
Carl, is there anything else you fancy bringing up before we bring the show to a close?
No, not for me. Open it up to the floor. Any other topics, guys, before we bring the show to a close?
Not doing Lomachenko.
Yep. You have a round robin on Lomachenko and what our thoughts are. Go on then, Dad.
Start with you, Dad, seeing as though you brought it up.
Yeah, I thought it looked all right, but let's be honest, you got to look who we're in against, don't you, as well?
He's gone in there.
So
I think Cambosa has gone.
Yeah.
I think it's here's my thought. The Teofimo Lopez fight has flattered Cambosis because it's the only fight he's looked anywhere near world level. Every other fight he's been in, he's nowhere near.
Yeah.
He's done for me in big fights. I don't understand how he can possibly get another big fight now. He lost to Max Hughes. Let's not forget. He lost to Max Hughes, and Max Hughes got robbed. But how he got that fight after that, I really don't know. Easy night's work for Loma. But do I think Loma beats any of the big boys now? No. Just because I think he's just a little bit too old.
I'll tell you what,
he's a fight in the elite.
I'll tell you what though, lads. I'm glad that MC isn't doing this heavyweight fight.
Although she lost the fight, right? I get he made a mistake, but Nina Hughes did lose that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. Mate, listen, I've been very vocal on it on social media because I can understand, Nina and her team being a little bit annoyed, right? But be annoyed at the MC.
Yeah.
They've absolutely lashed out at everybody.
Yeah,
And it's embarrassing.
Well, you'll be sorting a game plan out soon, Dad, because it looks like her and Ebony are going at it a little bit. So
I don't need a game plan. Ebony will smash her to bits.
There you go then.
I've seen everything I needed to see from Nina against Janika. Ebony will smash her to bits.
It's going to be a big anyway.
The thing is with it, right? The MC made an almighty cock up, and I felt bad for Nina. I was like, whoa, that's brutal. But then,
not the fighter's fault, though, is it?
No, but then when Nina's on things saying it's blatant robbery, no, you lost.
The 98-92 card was ridiculous, though.
But that's how it was interpreted.
Yeah, but it's a joke, though. That's bad
score. But that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's
like.
Jams, did you have a winning? Who did you have winning then, Jams?
I had Janika by 1 or 2, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when Nick lost to Emma Dolan, one of them cards were 99-91. That again, far too wide, but the right girl won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I tend not to. If the right person wins, I tend to like sort of try and not look at the card sort of thing and think, oh yeah, that were too. I just believe it's a negative thing that doesn't need to be happening. If you lost the fight, you've lost the fight.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
You know what I mean? I don't want to focus on. I did it with Nick when she lost Emma Dolan. Yeah, I said it for about 10 minutes after. Scores were too wide, but the right girl won. So
yeah, that's what you got to take from, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, it's come out today. I've seen it today. Sorry, Nina's trainer saying that he believed that they were set up by Lou DiBella because he promotes Janika as well, and he's got Mayo Yoshida as well, and they set it up for her to, they rigged it for her to lose.
They changed something, weren't it? They changed the judges apparently from 3 New Zealanders to a Japanese and Australian and something.
Yeah, but that was on that was on Nina Hughes' team's request.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So,
that's where the change, and then
because Janika's from New Zealand originally.
Yeah.
And it was not wasn't they wasn't any drug testing. They had to ask for drug testing.
I mean, that's
like when you strip it all back, she got the
test in the end, though.
Yeah, listen. They're talking about they're talking about Janika's on drugs, on steroids, and all that, and it's like, come on, just accept you lost.
Yeah.
I've heard. I've not really seen it because I'm not interested in it. All this, I've heard that there's some back and forth on Twitter and that, between Ebony and Nina, and if that happens, it happens. But you had Nina's trainer at the post-fight presser saying this is a mother of 2 kids. What's that got to do with anything? Everybody's got a story. Everybody's had a bit of hardship. Listen, at the end of the day, it boils down to you lost the fight.
Yeah.
And listen, and what they can't say, I know Ebony gets some grief, but listen, when she lost to Mayo, she lost with class.
Yeah, she gave her a big hug afterwards and said congratulations.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be screaming robbery and corruption all the time when you lost the fight.
That's be true, mate.
Yeah, yeah, it was a cock up by the MC, but
definitely.
So,
definitely. Do you know if Nina and her team had like gone, had focused the anger sort of thing at the MC and said, look, it's just ridiculous. Because let's not forget that spoiled Janika's moment as well.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's retired now anyway, Dan Hennessy, the Australian announcer. He's retired. He said he's again, and rightly so, to be honest.
Yeah, he's been getting some stick on it.
Just wrong winner. He announced the scorecards wrong as well.
Well, no, they didn't change scorecards. Scorecards.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
I said earlier they did.
No, it's just the announcement wrong with the winner.
That's the thing. Nina was saying they changed the scores.
Yeah, that's what she told me earlier on tonight.
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
No, the scores were read out for
wrong winner
for Nina. They said and still Nina, and then he called them back. He read the same scores out again and said for the winner in the blue corner, Shanika Johnson. They didn't change the scores.
Oh, that's bizarre. That is. I'm sure she said the scorecard.
Yeah, she has been saying that. She's been saying, and it's wrong. They haven't changed the scores. They just changed the person who they were for because he read it wrong.
That's not as big a cock up as I thought.
That was what everyone thought. They didn't change it.
No,
I can sorry.
Exactly like you said. When we saw it announced for Nina and then for Shanika, it was the same scores.
Yeah. But you see, that's what I mean. Nina and her team are saying that they've changed the scores, and it's like, well, no, they haven't.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so she's talking corruption and robbery, saying that they've fitted her up to lose, and it's no. Listen, the MC made a monumental mistake. And it was bad, and I felt for her, but she's not covering it. Her and her team are not covering the Sends in Glory. After
and for me, it was strange to see Leon and Lou DiBella had back and forth at Twitter.
Yeah, well, to be fair, mate, Leon, who's in Nina's team, he said some things that were thinking, and Lou DiBella rightly pulled him on it.
Yeah.
Rightly pulled him and said, listen, he said, look, he thought that 98-92 card, Lou DiBella said, I thought that were too wide, but the right person won.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a shame it's supposed to have 4 more fights with Lou DiBella, isn't she? But that's going to be over now.
Well, I mean, I can't, I'm struggling to see what she does now, if I'm honest, because, she's not the most marketable, if we're being totally honest.
Well,
yeah, she's not the most marketable. Good fighter, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking that away from her.
In the Who Needs Him club now, though, Daz.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so, but she's not. Listen, Shanika.
Got a rematch clause, though, with Shanika Johnson. There is a rematch clause, but
I know. Yeah, I've seen that, but whether that or not, I don't know.
In the interview with Joel, Nina told us that WBA will get back
in 2 days.
Yeah,
in the next couple of days. Yeah.
Right, let me just finish up on Lomachenko, and then I'll bring the show to an end. So, Harrison, what were your thoughts on Loma? Because we digressed a little bit there.
He was fantastic, and I wasn't too surprised. We spoke about it, I suppose, last week, and the level that George Kambosos was at. I suppose there was a chain of events just after COVID where the lightweight titles were sort of being flung from one man to another after Loma lost them. Lopez picked them up, then Kambosos, then Haney, and now they're obviously, all over the place again. It was nice to see Lomachenko back boxing. I could honestly watch him box all day. There is just something about him. His style, his movement is just, he's a pure genius as well. It's a shame that he hasn't got back to those big heights again. I think he's due a big fight. I'd love to see him in with either Shakur Stevenson or Gervonta Davis. I think they're 2 monster fights to make if you can. Shakur's obviously a lot easier, the top rank lock. But yeah, it was really nice to see Lomachenko back to his best on Saturday.
Sean?
Yeah, I agree with what Harrison said, really. And in terms of the whole shenanigans, not a lot of people would have seen it here because it only done 15,000 pay-per-view buys. So, yeah, I think Lomachenko is a great fighter. Great to see him back. Great to see him as a world champion again. And let's hope he gets a couple more big fights.
Cheers. Dad Ashton?
Yeah, I thought it was a good performance by Lomachenko, but I do agree with Andy a little bit. You need to have a look at the opposition as well. I thought Kambosos looked shot to pieces. He was picked off constantly, taken apart. The one thing I think you've got to give him credit for, Kambosos, he gives it his best shot every time. He's a warrior. He takes a lot of punishment. But we talk about plan A and plan B. He's only got a plan A, Kambosos. He walks forward. he doesn't really choose to, in any of his fights, use any other tactics. And that's his downfall, really. But like I say, he looks like he's done now. Lomachenko's probably got a couple more decent big fights in him, and then he'll wrap it up. But Kambosos is done.
Yes. Jams?
Yeah, mate. It was good to see Lomar looking sharp again. He looked a lot better than the last couple of fights for me. I thought he was really impressive. I think he'd probably beat Devin Haney. I think he'd give Shakur Stevenson a good run for his money. Tank, I think, probably stops him. But Kambosos Jr.'s not really much of a yardstick because he's a shot fighter, as Darren's just said. He's never really been that good. He got lucky with a Tio who was going through some personal business and just wasn't there on the night. And that's his claim to fame. He was never that good. He's just a one-dimensional fighter. But great to see Loma back. I'd like to see him in a big fight because he's earned it. He's 35 years old now. He's done the sport a lot of good. He's fought on the front line for Ukraine. And I'd love to see him get that big, massive payday out in Saudi or something and just get his due credit.
Orkan?
It was great to see Loma back for me. And I would love to see the Shakur fight for Loma.
Okay.
And for Kambosos, I've heard that I saw that Maxi Hughes has called out Kambosos for a rematch.
That's not a bad shot, is it? It's not a bad shot.
It was.
Also, Kambosos Jr.'s offered Ryan Garcia a street fight for $1 million. By the way.
It's all pantomime. It's all
Oh,
pantomime.
no. Kambosos called him a bum.
Brilliant.
Okay, anything else before we bring the show to end, guys?
No,
Not from me.
All good? All good? Okay. Thank Dad Ashton, much appreciated. Jams, Orkan, Sean, Celebrity
Thank
Code,
you.
and Harrison. All the comments on the side. This has been Last Bell Boxing, proudly sponsored by LW Lifton Limited and SC Travel. Same time next Thursday, 7 p.m. Possibly a show after the Tyson Fury Usyk fight, depending on what time it finishes after all the glitz and glamour of the pre-show. Thank you for joining. Same time next week. Take care.
See you later, lads.
See you,
See you
boys.
later.
Yeah.